Coming up on Jamaica Magazine, the spotlight is placed on two main areas: climate change and the maintenance of law and order. We look at what's being done to help the agricultural sector become more resilient to climate change. And later,
if there is not a bribee, there cannot be a briber.
a straight-talking Minister of National Security discusses the multifaceted issue of crime. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Adrian Atkinson. Before those features, the news of the day.
Experiencing flu-like symptoms such as coughing, fever or runny nose? Has it caused severe aches and pains? Is it difficult to breathe? Have you been feeling dizzy? What about diarrhea, vomiting or dehydration? If the answer is yes, see your doctor or the nearest health center right away. These are all symptoms of the influenza A H1N1 virus. Be smart. Seek medical attention today.
Good day, I'm Carrie Ann Smith and this is your GIS News for Friday, April 8. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says his administration is focused on restructuring government bureaucracy to allow for quick decision-making. This, he says, is among government's priorities for its first 100 days in office. In an interview with the British Broadcasting Corporation at Jamaica House on Thursday, Mr. Holness said the bureaucratic reform would send a good signal to local and international investors. The Prime Minister said his government would also be focused on fulfilling commitments made, the preservation of human rights, debt reduction, leveraging brand Jamaica for growth, and increasing investment markets in the first 100 days. Mr. Holness also responded to questions about Jamaica's relationship with the Commonwealth, reparations, and the country's gains since independence. Prime Minister Holness's interview with the BBC will be aired on April 21, Queen Elizabeth II's 90th birthday. The state-owned Jamaica Promotions Corporation, JAMPRO, has refuted claims that it was involved in an alleged $10 million Ponzi scheme that generates profits from bridge loans to businesses in Jamaica.
Allegations that JAMPRO has any direct involvement in fraudulent investment, Ponzi, or bridge loan schemes are totally unfounded, detrimental to our good reputation, and must be retracted.
The allegation was contained in an article by the Texas-based media entity Caribbean News Now. In a press briefing yesterday, JAMPRO's president said the agency had written to the publication's editor advising him to retract and take down the article.
That's the first step. We will be proceeding to other steps if he does not comply.
Ms. Edwards maintains that JAMPRO facilitates investors and investment projects it believes can add value to the Jamaican economy and create wealth for its people, acting on the principles of pure investment and business professionalism. By May this year, the Department of Correctional Services, DCS, will begin training new recruits to address inadequate staffing at its facilities.
We are in the process of recruiting 300 officers, and that is to replace persons who have been severed from us. We are just actually awaiting some results for the fingerprints. We would have had most of the blood test results. Once we get that, it is for the department and the Office of the Services Commissions to sit and do the final selection.
The Commissioner of Corrections was speaking on Wednesday during a tour of the Tower Street Adult Correctional Center in Kingston. State Minister of National Security Pernell Charles Jr., who was also on the tour, said the rehabilitation of inmates was a major priority for government. During a feedback session with correctional officers, he said plans were afoot to position the DCS as part of the growth agenda.
And so we are talking about ways to make our institutions self-sufficient. We are speaking about mechanisms that can be implemented here to make you have the facilities to do cultivation of colorloo, of eggs, of things that will have multiple impacts of reducing the cost, giving us more revenue to divert to the things that you're speaking about.
The Ministry of Education's National Standards Curriculum is still on track to be officially rolled out this September. The curriculum has been completely revised with customized components such as the 3 pathways to education at the secondary level. A pilot has been in place in some schools for the past 2 years. Deputy Chief Education Officer in the Curriculum and Support Services Unit at the Ministry, Lena Buckles-Scott, shared how the implementation will work at a JI's think tank on Wednesday.
Full implementation on a phased basis. We will commence with grades 1, 4, 7, 8, and 9 in September 2016. In September 2017, grades 2, 3, 5, and 6. Our teachers will be fully supported to implement the National Standards Curriculum.
She said some educators had already been trained, with other training to take place soon. Additionally, teacher training institutions will be adjusting their programs to prepare upcoming teachers for the needs of the new curriculum. The Education Ministry says $3.5 million has so far been committed to begin improvement works at the Padmore Primary School in Red Hill, St. Andrew. The money is to cover the first phase of major infrastructural upgrades to ensure the school can stay open. Padmore Primary, which was once considered for closure due to its small population, is now thriving academically and seeing increased numbers. Education Minister Senator Ruel Reid and other government officials toured the school on Thursday and committed the ministry's support for the institution.
We have committed to improve their bathroom facilities. They have asked for a computer room, which could also be used as a library. And so those are some of the initial things we want to look at. We want to see how we can assist in paving the schoolyard, do some upgrading for their fields.
Minister Reid has also pledged to return to the school on a regular basis to check on the progress of its transformation. And finally, Jamaica's progress towards ending AIDS as a public health threat has been lauded by UNAIDS. The recognition was made during a recent visit by the United Nations Secretary General's Special Envoy for AIDS in the Caribbean, Dr. John Edward Green, and Dr. Cesar Nunez. The two were here on April 4 and 5.
We've been pleased to follow up on the data that Jamaica has reported so far, impressive advancements in the reduction of new infections. From 2000 till now, you've halved the number of new infections. And also from the same year, you have come from 10% transmission of mother to child to 2%, which is almost getting there.
Dr. Green, meanwhile, highlighted the need for consensus on accelerating the response to HIV/AIDS as part of the 2030 development goals.
Secondly, we are making demands for the elimination of what we call an insidious classification of the Caribbean, and in Jamaica in particular, as a high-income country. And therefore, with that classification, it means that Jamaica is not eligible for concessional funding and support.
That issue is expected to be raised at the UN high-level meeting on ending AIDS scheduled for June 8 to 10 in New York. And that's it for GIS News today. I'm Carrie-Ann Smith. Thanks for watching.
Did you know climate change is decreasing the quality and quantity of water?
Climate change is expected to affect all aspects of food security, especially in the tropical region of which we are a part.
Climate change-related hazards such as prolonged droughts, more severe storms, and the overall irregularity of rainfall. These climatic stressors have resulted a reduction of water in our rivers and watersheds.
Youth, we are depending on you to spread the message of climate change and its impacts. Be a climate change agent in your home, school, or community. With climate change, we must change.
Climate change is one of the most important issues the world over. Think about it. With climate change, every single individual and business is at risk. If there's an extended period of heavy rainfall, while we may get water, there are landslides, flooding, infrastructure damage, and you can just fill in the blanks to figure out the rest. Drought tells another story. Let's make the link between climate change, its impact on the agricultural sector, and what's being done to minimize the damage.
Climate change, defined as extended changes in weather patterns, continues to be a top priority for government.
The belief that climate change and environmental issues only affect some of us and is a problem for the distant future is a misconception. Climate change affects us all. When drought ravages our crops and there are outbreaks of bushfires, we all pay higher prices at the market.
And through the Office of the Prime Minister, stakeholders continue to boost Jamaica's response to climate change. One focus area, climate change and the agricultural sector. The agricultural sector is significant to Jamaica's economy, contributing over 6.5% to the country's gross domestic product. It also creates employment, feeds the nation, saves foreign exchange through the importation of less food items, and provides raw material to those in the agro-processing sector. Through the Jamaica Rural Economy and Ecosystems Adapting to Climate Change JAREACH 2 project, initiatives continue to help farmers mitigate against climate change so that the agricultural sector is not severely affected. The project is funded by the United States Agency for International Development and implemented by the Government of Jamaica.
USAID, through the JAREACH 2 project, will continue efforts to enhance Jamaica's adaptive capacity to climate change through the provision of increased access to information that aids decision-making.
And so JAREACH 2 is helping to strengthen the capacity of the Meteorological Service of Jamaica so they can provide extensive climate data to farmers through the Climate Smart Agricultural tool. Why? Some farmers in Jamaica depend on rainfall, and with a change in rainfall patterns, there has to be a change in farming practices.
Our Climate Smart tools will allow us to have longer lead time, like 3 to 6 months if we're looking at drought forecast. And it also allows us to look at forecasts at a community level, something that we never used to do before. And now we're doing this first in Jamaica and first in the region.
With that information, farmers can determine what to do, when to do it, where to do it, and in the case of crops, what types are more suitable for planting during a specific period.
We have a database now with over 600 farmers in there that will send them free text messages whenever there is a pending drought, whenever there is a flood.
So what has been the impact? A survey showed that farmers who received and used the information were better able to respond to recent drought conditions. For those who were not exposed to the information, their production was negatively impacted by about 72%.
Compared to a farmer who attended the Farmers Forum, was exposed to the drought tool, the impact on his production was just about 39%. So right away you see where the tool is actually working.
To strengthen the system, the Met Office is moving to collect more information to pass on to farmers.
So we intend to increase the number of weather stations, and this will increase the forecast that we have going out on a monthly basis.
A memorandum of understanding was signed in March 2016 to install 36 additional automated weather stations across the island. The $18 million project will benefit over 500 farmers under the JAREACH program. The stations will be managed by the Met Office, the National Irrigation Commission, and the Rural Agricultural Development Authority. So government, through a partnership with various stakeholders, is working to minimize the impact of climate change on the agricultural sector, collecting the information, passing it on to farmers, developing policies, and working to implement best practices that will benefit society.
There is no doubt that the future strategies to deal with climate change will depend upon sound knowledge of past and present climate in our nation and in our region. Together, we must all recommit to adapting to and mitigating the impacts of climate change.
For more information on Jamaica's climate, visit agrilinksja.com and jamaicaclimate.net.
All the people then with a Zig V, hold up your hand. toxic vein of the Caribbean territory. But we now want that virus take set pan we. So make sure send no stagnant water inside and mash up all mosquito breed inside. More hole in the tin them where you dash way and change the water in your vase every day. No litter, dispose of your garbage proper. You know them the thing that we turn drain blacker. Tour your community and tour your yard for suppress mosquito. We have figure hard. Dash we all tire turn over drum pan for prevention is the greatest weapon. And special shout out to pregnant ladies. Protect yourselves and protect your babies. Draw for your zapper and your mosquito spray. If you do all that we can to keep them away. How we know what's in vain.
Community belongs to us. We must not only seek to collect more garbage, we must litter less. I'm making an appeal. Throw the garbage in your car on the floor until you get home and you can dispose of it properly. I want to warn all my officers who serve this beautiful country of Jamaica. If you know anybody that is going to bribe you, tell them don't do it. Because a police officer can only be bribed by a member of the public. So if you accuse the police officer of taking a bribe, I also have to wonder who bribed you. So it's a two-way street. If there is not a bribee, there cannot be a briber. So you have a part to play. If you're driving fast and you're going to get a ticket, don't offer the officer a bribe. Go pay your ticket. It is when we feel safe that people will invest. That my sister here will have more functions. And when she has more functions, the jerk chicken man sell more chicken. And when the jerk chicken man sell more chicken, the wholesaler sell more chicken. And when the wholesaler sell more chicken, you will employ your daughter or your son because business are run. Prosperity are run for it, and it will run for you. And the taxi man can run all 4 o'clock a morning because he feels safe. And when the taxi man run, he earn enough money to send his children to school. And when his children go to school, they turn back to teacher and businessman too. We are from the greatest nation under the sun. We are Jamaica. We stand tall anywhere and everywhere we go.
We are going to work our hearts out as police officers, but we will not be able to do anything without the support of the community. You are going to have to be prepared to work with us. We are here extending our hand to you to ask you to join with us in partnership to get this community and this parish back.
And let us work together in partnership. Let us encourage everybody youngsters to join the police youth club. And if there's no police youth club, start a police youth club and invite the police. But we have to hold each other's hands. We have to work together because the increasing of public safety will benefit all of us.
No one is above the law. We encourage all Jamaicans to join the fight against corruption, organized criminality, these nefarious activities that stymies our country's progress. I want to encourage all Jamaicans to call. We have a secure line, 1-800-CORRUPT. Call anytime and we will treat the information received with the highest standard of confidentiality. We need your help. We want to elicit your support.
Call 1-800-CORRUPT. That's 1-800-267-7878. Be the change. Report corruption today.
Corruption, defined as dishonest or fraudulent conduct, should not be tolerated in any society. Earlier you heard the National Security Minister reminding police personnel and the public not to participate in bribery. Let's take a look at what's being done to eliminate corruption in the wider public sector.
The Commission for the Prevention of Corruption was established to eliminate dishonest or illegal practices within government services by enforcing the Corruption Prevention Act.
The aim of the Corruption Prevention Act is to ensure that the public servant in his dealings is fair, honest, and not corrupt.
As part of ensuring that happens, the Commission for the Prevention of Corruption is entrusted with receiving and keeping records of statutory declarations made by public servants. That's basically a list of assets, liabilities, and income. Public officials should make a statutory declaration every year if they earn over $2 million annually.
And the $2 million is all perquisites of office: salary, traveling, uniform, robing, whatever it is that may be given.
But there are some categories of persons who have to make that declaration even if they earn less than $2 million. They include parish councillors, police personnel, members of the military, customs officers, and persons employed to the Island Traffic Authority.
Since January 2003, public servants have been required to give statutory declarations on an annual basis. For it to be in keeping with the Act, statutory declarations must be given within 3 months of December 31 of each year.
That means select public officials have until March 31 of the following year to make their statutory declarations. So what exactly does one disclose on the declaration form? Well, information is needed about the assets of yourself, spouse, or children living with you, supported by bank statements. One would also be required to disclose investments and life insurance policies.
Salary details and particulars, liabilities such as loans that you may have undertaken, and it also covers the fact that you may have acquired new assets since the last reporting period or disposed of assets during that period.
Such information will help the Commission determine whether a public official is participating in any dishonest activity through or while being employed in the public service.
They are not taking bribes. They are not increasing their assets unwillingly or unwittingly or using their office for gain.
If the Commission comes across anything that doesn't add up,
what the Commission has to do is to report the matter to the Director of Public Prosecution, who then initiates the action. And that is ongoing.
And the Commission is ramping up activities to get public officials to file their declarations, especially since only 50% of the 36,000 individuals are actually complying with the law. Trials have been ongoing. If public officials fail to file their declarations or make a false declaration, upon conviction, they may face a fine of up to $200,000, be imprisoned for up to 2 years, or face both a fine and imprisonment. On the other hand, if one is convicted of corruption in a resident magistrate's court, in the first instance, they will face up to $1 million in fines, 2 years imprisonment, or both. If one is a repeat offender, the fine goes up to $3 million, 3 years in prison, or both. The penalties get stiffer if one is convicted of corruption in the circuit court. First offenders will face up to $5 million in fines, up to 5 years in prison, or both. For repeat offenders, it's up to $10 million, up to 10 years in prison, or both. The Commission for the Prevention of Corruption, using statutory declarations to assess the assets and liabilities of select public officials, stamping out dishonest practices, building integrity in the public service. For more information, contact the Commission at 968-6227 or visit their website cpcpd.gov.jm.
Each time you're not paying full attention to the road environment, the greater your chances of getting in a crash like that. Plan routes to avoid focusing on GPS systems, prevent children from roaming in motor vehicles, turn down the volume of car stereo systems, pull off the roadway if you have to use mobile devices, do not read, watch television or eat while driving, avoid multitasking, and keep conversations with other passengers to a minimum. Whether you walk, ride, or drive, avoid potentially fatal distractions.
It's a new beginning. New day is dawning. It's time to arise. We are the gene of achievement and pride.
Bold new beginning. Time for action. We have the spirit to fight on.
This is Jamaica. This is our land. We have our future with God in our plan. We'll play our part building this great nation. This is Jamaica. This is our land. Let us make every effort to forge unity and resolve to work hard for our prosperity. Leaving our children a legacy of hope. Breaking the shackles and smashing the old. This is Jamaica. This is our land. This is our we have our future with God in our plan. We'll play our part building this great nation. This is Jamaica. Let me hear the children say.
This is Jamaica. This is our land. We have a future with God in our plan. We'll play our part building this great nation. This is Jamaica. Come on, everybody, let's sing.
This is Jamaica. This is our land. We have our future with God in our plan. We'll play our part building this great nation. This is Jamaica. This is our land.
Jamaica, together we can.
We've come to the end of Jamaica Magazine for this Friday. Thanks for spending time with us. Catch us again tomorrow on the station. And if you can't wait that long, join us online, jis.gov.jm, our YouTube channel or other social media platforms. I am Adrian Atkinson, and this has been Jamaica Magazine. Have yourselves a great evening.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.